Well, hello there, lovely listeners, and welcome to the latest episode of Around the Console, where tonight we will be reviewing an amazing episode, a truly phenomenal episode of Doctor Who. Maybe I'm bigging it up because I love it, maybe I'm bigging it up because I hate it, but tonight we're reviewing the 70s classic, The Mutants, and I won't be doing this alone, no, because I'm around the console with my bestest buddies, Bob, Cliff, Suki, and John. Hello, gentle people.
Hello.
Well, I'm going to say that's a 7 out of 10. That one, that was a decent.
Good 7.
Totally off the cuff because I only found out I was hosting like 30 seconds ago.
We told you 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely brilliant.
My issue is scripted sessions and everything.
My issue is I don't think Craig's got his microphone plugged in properly, or the settings on his computer.
He definitely hasn't.
Oh, no, I've not. Actually, I've not.
Craig, if you just go on, if you got it plugged in, is it on light now?
Yeah, it was hanging out the bottom.
Yeah, if you just go on your
Craig
Zoom,
to notice things hanging out his bottom.
Craig, if you just go onto your Zoom, go onto Zoom, then just
plugged in.
So let's
I'm like,
it sounded like shit.
Do it again. So do it again.
No, I want you to struggle on air. On air, is that what you call it? For a bit, because it's funny.
I'm not struggling. I know what I'm doing now. I'm a seasoned pro, Bob. You taught me everything I know. I should be nice and clear now.
Is that a reflection on me?
Yeah, it very much is.
So
everything's plugged back in and tucked up.
Right. So if you go onto your Zoom, click the little arrow near the microphone. Select a microphone and select USB microphone.
This is
like simple, basic shit.
The little arrow near the microphone.
Pick on Craig. Leave him alone.
Is that it? Is that better?
He's been doing this for fucking decades.
No. That's better. There he is. Yeah. There he is. Hi, Craig. Welcome.
Hello. Well, what I would suggest, listeners, if my introduction wasn't clear,
we are still doing
go back and listen to it again and pay more attention.
Okay.
Sounds great, that, Craig. Beautiful.
Good. That's what I like to know. Enough about beauty. We are here to discuss something mutant-like, something maybe a little bit ugly and a little bit scary. I want your first impressions, boys, and I'm going to come. Who chose this story? Because I can't remember. It's been so long.
Bob.
Random, wasn't it? Bob, I'm coming to you because I think you owe us all. Bob, I want your impressions, please.
It's hard work, wasn't it? It was a John Pertwee 6-parter, that's for sure. It was fine. It was fine.
It's fine.
An interesting concept. I read the Target novel, which was a lot better reading it than watching it. But it was fine. Yeah, standard Pertwee 6-parter. Fine.
Do you know what I found better than watching this? Plucking every single pubic hair out of my ball sack.
Not you yet.
I'm just saying it. Sorry. John, I'm going to come to you to put you out of your misery because I feel we all need to care and share on this.
Yeah, well, I recently had a similar experience to watching this, which was plucking out every single hair on my ball sack. And no, it wasn't terrible. However, I've got to admit that I watched the first 4 episodes of it about a month ago.
Yeah.
And then just this afternoon, I thought, have I watched all of it? Because I've got no fucking memory of this at all. And I had to very quickly watch 2 episodes of it before we started here tonight. So I do know what we're doing, but it was a chore. It was hard work.
Okay.
It had its positives and its negatives, but it was generally a bit of a mountain to climb.
Suki, what about yourself?
Now, my history with this is that I remember watching it back in the early 80s, 90s, and it wasn't really good. So this time, as soon as Bob chose it, I thought, oh, good grief. I was really dreading it. And now, actually, I quite enjoyed it.
Did you really?
Yes, because it just flew by. I quite like some of the performances, how camp it was, how really arch. The lead villain I loved. It just really flew by. All 6 episodes just went by in a flash, and I don't know why this time it changed because I have always not really liked this story.
Oh my God, I'm quite in shock. You're gonna have to speak a lot more, Suki, because you might be the only Mr. Positive, but we've still got 2 more to go. Cliff, darling, what did you think?
I remember seeing it once before we had to do it for this, and I couldn't fully remember it. So when we did it, I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And 6 parts is way too long for this. There's some good bits, some bad bits.
About 5 parts too many, I think.
Yeah, all in all, it's just like it's a chore. Yeah, you realise that this is the type of stuff you have to go through as a Doctor Who true fan to watch the bad to appreciate the really good.
Yeah,
I'm going to pick up from that, Cliff, because I've got to be honest and say I had to do some real serious soul searching after I watched this. Did I even like Doctor Who anymore? Because this was just shockingly bad, and it was more than a chore. It was excruciatingly bad, and I did think, do I like it? And luckily, of course, I reminded myself I've been working my way through the box set, and every other story up until this point has been cracking. But yeah, so we've got four people that struggled here, and then we have Suki that is gonna champion this story. Suki, I'm coming straight to you because I love positivity.
I'm not going to champion the story, right? When I first initially watched it, it was on a really bad, dodgy copy, and probably put me off a lot. And
was it an illegal copy?
Yeah, it's always a legal copy back in the 80s. When were they on VHS back in them days? So it was always an illegal copy. And when I watched it, it was just a really bad first impression that I had of it. And then fan wisdom is always, oh, it's a terrible story, bad acting, and so on. So when you come to this, I thought when it was chosen, I thought this is going to be really bad. It's just not going to be enjoyable to watch. So I came into it thinking I'm just not going to go with fan opinion. I'm just going to sit here and try and watch the story. So I made no notes, nothing at all, and I just sat and watched the story. And to be honest, all 6 episodes did go quickly by. The acting may have been a bit dodgy for a couple of the characters. The effects is a bit shoddy. But most of the story is fine. It's a story about evolution. It's a story about colonialism. It's getting rid of the past, the indigenous people trying to get rid of their people that are just stopping them from leaving whatever the colony was, the empire was. So once I decided I wasn't going to listen to past perceived fan wisdom on this story, I really enjoyed it. As I said, it just flew by. The camp arch villain, St. Jones, he was just loving it. He was absolutely loving the way he was playing. He was really chewing the scenery, and I just thought he was great. Now I know you guys have not really had a good impression on it, but maybe because I don't know why.
It.
Well, you watched it, but
yeah.
I went in decided I was just going to sit there and enjoy the show.
Yeah, but Suki, that's an awful lot of effort to go through in order to enjoy what should be.
I didn't make an effort to watch it.
That's like a whole lifetime's worth of preparation in order to enjoy this thing. I don't know. It's not as bad as I'm making it out. There are plenty of positives. There's some good performances. There's some proper. That Marshall was a git. Yeah. I really loved that Dr. Soderbergh guy.
Yeah, he was good.
The actor was great. I don't know what I've seen him. He's got a very charismatic face.
Empire Strikes Back.
I knew there was something, but I fucking loved him immediately.
Is anyone right? I might have stopped paying attention, but suddenly he just appeared. Like I was like, "Who the fuck's this guy?"
Why, episode 4, it's not that one.
Yeah, I mean, so it moved on. Obviously, and got this new character into pace it up from that. Yeah. I didn't see where he came from. He just suddenly appeared, and I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" I've never heard him mentioned.
He was mentioned. He was mentioned earlier on in episode 1 or 2 that there was an Earth scientist that suddenly vanished. So he was there mentioned earlier on in the story.
I wasn't paying much attention at that point. But I will come in a positive though. So I read the Target novel. It was very little and short, and it was really good. Particularly the scene at the beginning where they're on the mutt hunt, and it's quite grim in the book because it looks a bit daft. on the telly. And I think that's maybe the thing with this is it's a very serious topic. What they're covering, basically just trying to destroy everything by being horrible sort of capitalist mentalist Tories. But it's when you read the graphic novel of it, the novel of it, it's a lot grimmer in tone. Without being, it's just describing what's on screen. But when you read it and then you imagine it, it's a lot grimmer. In my mind, it's a lot grimmer. So the book, it's Terry Nation just smashing it out, but it's good. But it is Terrence Sticks. Sorry, did I say Terry Nation? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm so tired. But yeah, it's So it's a good idea, and it's quite a grim tale, but it just sort of goes on a bit, doesn't it? And
yeah, I think that's the thing. It is a good idea.
Yes.
So when you start getting invested into it, but then it sort of Terrence Dicks, he sort of messed himself up right at the end. He's sort of gone, I don't know how to resolve this. We'll turn him into a god. There we are.
Yeah,
It resolve everything. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
What on
does.
earth's going on?
It makes sense, but it reminded me of the Time Monster. Now, I've not seen a Time Monster for ages, but it reminds me.
Please don't pick that.
No, I hate the Time Monster. It's awful. I don't know. I might not see it for ages. It might be good. I'm sure it's not good, but it reminds me of the Time Monster, the whole nonsensey weird bit. I don't know.
I thought the character of Kai. I thought he was all right. I thought he was a bit over the top with his acting. Over the top,
yeah.
But I could see where it was going. I thought, this is kind of good. What's all these tablets? What's all this thing he's got to do? And then at the end, it's like, you are now God. And he walks around like this spirit. I thought, that's bloody shit.
And it's like the way... Sorry, go on, Suki.
No, I was just going to say, this is why the Time Lord sent the Doctor to make sure this actually happened, because they knew what the evolution was going to be. It was going to go from human-like to monster to a godlike being. But if Paul Whitson Jones character,
Marshall,
he decides that he's going to kill off everybody and all the mutts, then those godlike creatures weren't going to come into existence. So the Doctor was sent there to make sure evolution carried on at its pace, at the way it should be.
It's just that typical too drawn out story, because there are some amazing things in here. I actually did like the end. I remember, I was a bit like you, Suki. Unlike you, I hadn't seen any of the fan reviews of this. I didn't know what anyone said about it. So to me, I just knew I'd not seen it for a while. Let's watch. And I sat there first episode with my notepad, wrote a few notes, and by episode 2, I was like, notepad away, I just have to get through this. And then I did like the end, but it just, by the time it got there, episode 1, 2, episode 6, in between, total snoozeville.
But if they knew they was getting to that point, and the Time Lords are sent to get to this point, there was no precursor to it to say, this needs to happen, because if not, this wouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean?
The message ball, wasn't it? I quite liked the message ball.
There wasn't too much to say, like, this needs to happen. If not, this won't happen. It just seemed, I don't know. Maybe
it seemed quite random. Someone has to receive this, and it's just pure chance the Doctor will find them on this planet and give it to the right person, and they'll get the message and act on it. John?
No, I think you're right. I think it does lack some certain, like, plot, not holes exactly, but inconsistencies.
Yeah.
But by the time you get 6 episodes in, you just want the thing to fucking finish. So that point,
I was like putting episode 3.
Yeah. No, but no, I'm being a bit facetious. But it's like it is too long, and I don't think that will cover up anything. The plot is pretty decent, and I do like the fact that there's a kind of like this race that evolves every 500 years or whatever. I don't know what the plot is about, but the guy ascending at the end, and like that's all part of their evolutionary development and things. I thought that was quite nifty, and the Marshal was annoying all the way through it. So
I quite like the Marshal though.
Yeah,
he's the very
Marshal was good.
Very definition of the word pugnacious.
Oh,
that's what I think. Yeah, he just had a look about him.
Is he the same guy that played the pirate in Space Pirates? Not Space Pirates. Pirate.
He might have done. He was a bit,
No.
Was it? No. He's similar guy, isn't he?
Yeah, similar guy.
Similar.
Go on, Suki.
I can't remember my thought now. You just, I
Well, I'll 2 seconds. I'm just gonna totally agree with you because even though I thought it was crap, there were so many strong themes in here, like you mentioned right at the very beginning, like colonialism, like the political struggle, like
ethnic cleansing.
I loved it. There was such a lot.
You love the ethnic cleansing. You sick.
Yeah, he
of-
does,
No,
he
no.
does love it. He's a natural fascist in our play. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really thought this was a real, and again, for quite ahead of its time for some of those issues. I just really think it lost its way massively. What could have been a very strong story just didn't.
Well,
this is. Oh, sorry, it's okay.
I was just going to say, this is the thing with Bob Baker and Dave Martin's stories. They put so much stuff into their stories, right?
Yeah.
And some of it just gets lost in whatever is happening on the screen. And they've got like too much stuff going on and it confuses people. So with this story, they had, as I says, the evolution, the colonialism, they had all sorts of things happening in the story, and they had to spread it over 6 episodes. And of course, it's got to be a runaround for some of the stuff as well, which is what happens in a Doctor Who story, especially a 6-parter, because you're always going to have first 2 episodes setting it up, last 2 episodes resolving it, and in between there's just going to be running, going from one place to another, right? And it's John, what is that in the background?
Just random pictures I'm putting up for fun. I'm just
enjoying
trying
the pictures.
It's just a bit. It's cathartic after I've watched 6 episodes of this thing.
But you haven't. You've watched 4, and then you've watched 2.
Yeah, I know. It all counts.
And that's 6.
And it
That's
weighs
6.
up on your soul. Yeah,
Which is virtually like almost 2.5 hours of your life that you will not get back because Bob chose this and the dice came out with it.
Thanks, Pertwee.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, it had some good John Pertwee karate shit going on.
Yeah,
it was Pertwee his best. He's just
Pertwee
like
at his Karate Kid type stuff going on. Yeah, I thought that was good. Also, there's a lot of good sets, to be honest. The sets was actually all right. In the field with that marshy field and the fog, and you got old people looking like Gandalf running through.
Was it Genesis? It was like Genesis of the Daleks, wasn't it? That sort of misty,
the foggy
quarry.
stuff.
Yeah,
I love the spaceship with the grey kind of spaceship with the dome in the middle.
And there was obviously experimenting because he had green screen, but there was experimenting with it. But I thought it was all right. It's a Doctor Who. I like the campness when it does that, and the big ants and stuff.
They were really good.
The old people running around at the beginning. If you're a Monty Python fan or watch Monty Python, on the commentary you got like Katie Manning and a few other people, and as soon as that first episode and first scene comes on, and they just go straight into the Monty Python bit, which goes "It's," and then got the blow just turning up.
And apparently they were called in the original script. They were called Munts, not Mutts, but they couldn't. They were worried that the wrong word might come out if they were called Munts because they were shouting
It's all Spanish.
Munts, and that kind of thing. So
that was actually. I found that when I first watched episode 1, I did genuinely find that quite disturbing because you can think of alternative words that people would use now, and you could literally just transfer it across to that being chased, someone hurling abuse at you, calling you names. It was like,
it was good.
That got
you engaged into it straight away, but then it fizzled off after that.
It really fizzled. Yeah.
It's basically like walking around my house and being chased by 3.5-year-olds shouting names at me. It's just like that, to be honest with you. But
what do you guys think of the Rick James character?
Which one
who played the black guy?
He was such a bad actor. He was really bad.
Miscast in that role.
He was really bad.
Well, it wasn't meant to be a person of colour, was it? Hence Cotton, and then they cast a person of colour in that role and didn't really think,
very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's
I
not calling Cotton.
I thought it was an unsubtle approach to talk about slavery and colonization, and then I met Bob and he was like, no, it was actually just filling in or whatever.
Miscast.
And it was like, I didn't know that. I thought it was deliberate.
At some point, you are able to change the fucking name. It's a fictional character.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But they didn't do it. So
they probably would have thought about it then. But it just doesn't matter. Not really thought about anything. And but like irrelevant of like that stuff, he just wasn't a very good actor. The other guy was I've seen him in stuff before. I think he's been in Doctor Who's before. In fact, plenty of Doctor Who's before. But they were quite a nice little double act. But when he went off and did his thing, when he obviously became Marshall, which was great. But when he was doing the comedy stuff together with Thing, he was quite good in that duo. But after that, being on his own, he wasn't the best actor in the world. But there was other people in it that weren't the best actors in the world. At this point, you've got people that are acting what we'll call it for theatre, so very dramatic. So most of the cast, basically, or the supporting cast. Well, it's a different time, isn't it?
It is.
I listened to the DVD commentary with Chris Barry was on it, Chris, the director, and he does say that he was looking for a black actor for that role.
Really? Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was, and
even worse than really.
Yeah,
and so they cast him, but because the writers, Bob Baker and Dave Martin, they wrote for a Cockney instead of a Caribbean lad. They should have changed the dialogue to suit.
It's just obvious, that, isn't it?
Just
Right.
seems a bit
Instead
lazy.
of you got like Rick James going in it. He's doing that, mate, and all this stuff, and he just didn't sound right coming out.
It didn't sound right
out of his accent.
Bit lazy on the director. That he could have changed it at the time of doing it.
Yeah, it could have easily, but
he was just too excitable as well. To be honest, it was just like he needed to just calm himself down. He was much too giddy for someone that was chasing around and potentially gone on mutt hunts and was in danger. It was always. It was just too. I couldn't buy into him at all. The rest of the characters pretty much were good, but he really, I think he probably took me out of my comfort zone.
Who was so bad? Who's the guy that plays Stubbs? Who's been in loads of Doctor Who's?
Which one was he?
The other part of the duo.
John, right. But I don't know.
Yeah, Sucky will probably find
Christopher Cole.
Because he's been in loads of Doctor Who before. I remember him being in Troughton stories and stuff like that, and I quite like him. But the Sky Marshal was brilliant. Just a big
Sky Marshal was really good. He made me smile and
shouty, aggressive, mental dude. It was great. It's basically like Boris Johnson or something like that. It was perfect.
He was really good.
You could imagine him wanting mass genocide because it was all about his position and not wanting to lose the power.
And the scientist, the scientist on Skybase.
Yeah.
You trying to say something, Cliff?
I was going to.
I couldn't say, bless you. Go on, Cliff.
No, let's finish Bob.
No, I like.
I'll finish Bob.
I like that. Oh my god, I like the scientist, the other scientist, not the one on the planet, the German one or whatever that's on the base. I like him. He's been in Doctor Who before, I'm pretty sure as well.
Yeah, yes, he was in the Deadly Assassin.
That's it. Yeah, and he played one of the good Time Lords, wasn't it? I think he did. But yeah, it was. I liked him as well. He was
Mr. Jager.
Strong cast. Really. I know we've had a bit of a thing with it, but I think they were pretty good at what they got asked to do.
Oh yeah, the quality of acting, whilst a little overacted at moments, there was just plenty of solid performers in there. Yeah. I think that the guy with the Inquisitor that comes at the end.
Oh, that was quite funny. Yes.
Yeah, he was a right sour-faced bastard. He hated the Doctor every time he spoke with him. It was awful. But yeah, but it's just like that was just like a solid character acting. Yeah.
What's his name in the beginning? What's his name? The very famous sitcom Jeffrey Palmer at the beginning on as well. Yeah. Which was I completely forgot he was in it, and I was like, it's Jeffrey Palmer. Being
one episode cameo.
That's because there's 5 other episodes afterwards in which to wipe your brain. And then he gives information.
A brain wipe on this, absolutely.
There's a lot of links as well with regards to how they dress the people up. Like all the guys, the Marshal, are very like glossy black, but more relating to like the old SS uniform, and that's more or less what they was doing, was destroying life and being like the fascists of World War II.
Yeah,
the way they were constructed, and
they did that. I
did like the large polished helmets. What was all that about?
Well, they did that in Genesis as well, didn't they? So anywhere you got like
really clear, makes a smoother entrance.
What a polished helmet!
Yeah.
Wow.
Was it? Now you said it. Was it black latex they were all wearing?
Like a latexy type thing, yeah.
It's quite fetish.
A bit plasticky, yeah.
Yeah, well, polished helmets and black fetish, and the little speakers.
There's fetish, but but there's fetish, but there's also uncomfortable and sweaty, isn't there?
Oh, definitely.
I can imagine the Marshal would have been a bit sweaty in that one.
Oh, the chafing! I can't even imagine the chafing.
The chafing will be extreme chafing.
Yeah, extreme
Yeah.
chef is never good.
Bringing it back to serious, I actually really liked the scene when the Doctor and Joe appear and he's having his court with the Inquisitor and all the rest of it. And the Doctor and Joe come in, and these are the witnesses that we need to prove what's going on. And the Inquisitor just completely sides with the Marshal. I love that because I thought at that moment that it was all going to go great for the Doctor.
It was the Doctor said, but we've got these witnesses. Where are they? They're not here. We've got this evidence. Where is it? Oh, it's not here. And what about the evidence that these creatures are being forcibly mutated? That'd be down on the planet.
Yeah. But even when they were...
It's no wonder, really, is it?
Even when the Marshal was shooting, though, gung-ho at that poor mutant that was, just running around doing very little, even then with the brutality, the Inquisitor was like, yeah, no, just let's follow the Marshal's rule.
Well, no, because the Inquisitor would have been probably of the opinion that they were dangerous because of the same reason that the Marshal thinks that they were dangerous, because he didn't try to understand them. Which is a key message.
Always try and understand big ants.
The big ants.
Propaganda news coming from the wrong people, believing the wrong people. It's like today. It's what we live in. It's BBC.
Wow.
The big ants. The costume.
Settle down, chaps. Wow.
The big ants costume, as you says, Craig. I quite like that.
I liked
the way.
Yeah,
they were quite well realised. Where they only showed a little bits of it in the first few episodes, couple of episodes, and then they brought them out more and more prominently. And then towards the end, where you see that one little mutt get destroyed, and you just I felt really sorry because the way he was acting, I don't know which actor it was. He was just jittery and all that.
It was really confused, wasn't it? You could tell your sympathies did go, and that's what I mean. I was really quite surprised at that point, but that was probably just me as a person rather than one of these, the Inquisitor. To me, it was so obvious that this was a defenseless creature, and he just shoots it down in cold blood, and you're like shocked at that. And then the Inquisitor agrees with it. I was outraged. Yeah, that was the only emotion response I had.
But that's like perfect, isn't it? Because like fuckers do what they want, Tories, and people go, "Oh yeah, that's fine." People that
like the whole Christmas parties, for instance,
like and justify it. So that I get that, and I get that sort of frustration with it, and that's why the baddies, because the fuckers like the Tories.
Wow.
You got to think about the Tories tonight, Bob. Is there something you want to say? Because I always thought you were quite conservative and right wing in your views.
Oh yeah, he's well known for it.
Well known Tory me.
Absolutely.
I did find John Pertwee at this point in the. I really like the penultimate one for the season now or something.
Yes, it is.
The writing for John is really good. He's got that like little sly digs he does at anyone who just doesn't get to his level. Like he turns around to someone and goes like, "Well, of course it's not going to be that. It's not going to be a bomb, is it? But you're blown up. It was up to you." Blah, 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 blah. And it goes on. It goes on at Katie Manning when she goes, "Do you reckon it's food?" Like looks at people with distaste. Like no one's at his level. I've always liked that about John.
It's quite condescending, isn't it? This stuff.
Pompous and a bit condescending. And unless you get up to his level, he's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah, he's at his pompous best. I love him. He's just
it's only like in Day of the Dice when there was his wine and his cheese looking down on everyone. Yeah, I love that. Look at me in my mansion.
You can see him putting down Professor Jaeger all the while when he's acting with him, George Pravda.
Yeah.
But then when John Hollis's character comes along, Professor Sondergaard, he's quite
equal
talking to him at that level because he knows he's got a like-minded being there.
He does that really well, does Pertwee? Like that sort of, you know when he's like respecting and the equal, he feels like he's talking to someone, but everyone else is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And he just treats them as such, and it's kind of brilliant in a way.
Yeah, it's when he meets the master in some of the episodes, some of the episodes he does as well. It's that instant level straight away and respect, and he's met his like Moriarty type person,
which is probably why they brought the master in, in the first place, so he's not just calling everyone a fucking idiot, going around, "You're a fucking idiot, you're a fucking idiot" as well. He did it with the Brig and everyone else, didn't he? So
I got a bit confused towards the end of this, to be honest, and I thought the master was actually going to be turning up because when they says the Inquisitor's on his way, because these are the sort of John Pertwee stories where the master would suddenly appear towards the end of a story and just keep it going for the next 2-3 episodes. I just thought it was going to be Roger Delgado just turned up, but I completely.
Were you disappointed? Because I had the same thinking it was going to be him, and I was disappointed when it wasn't. Was that your response?
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, Roger Delgado would be quite what's suitable for this sort of story. It's something that he'd get his teeth into.
Absolutely. Final thoughts.
Exactly. Any more thoughts on this, gents? I mean, I know we've said such amazing positive things, and there's such a lot to say about this story. We're gonna feel we should curtail it to this, really. So, if you can, just final thoughts in 2 words, please. I'm gonna leave Suki to last because I think it's always good to finish on a high point. Otherwise, it's an anticlimax. So, Bob, let's come to you for your final thoughts in 2 words.
Yeah, it was good. It was, like I say, the plot, colonialism, genocide, whatever you want to call it, it's been done before. But I love the fact they're doing this in the 70s, and they do it a lot in Pertwee's era, and they do it with a sledgehammer sometimes. But it's good. And like I say, reading the Target novel, I'm pleased I did that because it was not grimmer in tone. It was, like I said, literally explaining what was happening, but it just seemed to be a bit more severe. The message. But it was good. I'm glad I watched it. It was not hard work. I mean, there's harder work you can be doing, but it was it was a journey. Mutt me up. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Finishing me off.
I promised to do it earlier on. It was a bit quicker than I expected, to be honest, Bob. Cliff, darling, over to you.
Yeah, the more we talked about it, the more I've seen things where, I had to admit some of it was actually quite good. It was just too long of a story. Yeah. I understand what they're trying to push all the way through it. You get that. You get it. I just didn't like the ending. Thought that was just a bit stupid. Love John Pertwee when he's been giving really top lines and he's giving digs to people like it just says. Love his karate skills. It's like Napoleon Dynamite dancing, just brilliant. It was enjoyable. Well, my 2 words would be fine fun.
Fine fun.
Nice.
No, we're doing really well today, boys.
Yeah. John, over to you.
I think this definitely didn't benefit me from having such a split up viewing of it. Yeah. And I reckon if I'd perhaps rewatch it, which I will, let me tell you now, I'm never going to do, then maybe I would have got a little bit more from it. I thought there was a lot in there that I could have hung on to. And I think I remember in the first watching of the first bunch, I was fairly positive. It just I couldn't keep hold of that feeling for long enough, and it just kind of wore me down. So, yeah.
2 words. 2 words, John.
It's over.
I'll do myself next. Always pleasurable. And I'm going to say, a bit like everyone else, really. It was just too long. I did lose the will to live in this. I do wonder a little bit what it would be like if this was done now, because it was very political.
Wouldn't be.
No, but would it? Because it was in the sense that if you had a story about colonization, well, we had.
It would be in 1 episode for a start. That done now.
Yeah.
Well, then would it be accused of being PC?
The ants would be red for Russia or something.
Yeah, I lost the will. It was too much to me. I said before, it really made me question Doctor Who, and this was a horrible episode or story. So for me, it was absolute mutant monotony.
That's 3 words.
2 words. No, well, mutant monotony.
Yeah, you could have figured that out, Sheps. Right. Come on.
He wasn't paying. He wasn't. Spell it out.
You don't have to count every single word he says up.
I was.
The full sentence. God, talk about the anticlimax. Suck it. Please finish us off cheerfully.
I'll try and give you all a happy climax.
Wow.
But so as I says, I quite enjoyed this story. It has got a lot of stuff going on in it. There's some really dodgy acting. There's some really camp acting. There's some really, as people say, theatre acting in this. There's too much going on in it. There's all sorts of stuff. Now, I'm quite happy that I think I persuaded Cliff from being really, really negative, and he said he's during the course of this conversation he's quite enjoyed it, and so John sort of says he's started off, and maybe he would have carried on enjoying it if it had just. So maybe if
repeat
viewing,
No,
Repeat
Suck his
viewing.
groom does. Suck his grooming us.
he's trying to make us change our minds, but it's not going to happen for me.
What I'm going to say is that my 2 words are going to be pleasantly surprised.
Wow.
Right. So that's what I felt at the end of watching the 6th episode, because as I said, I watched it all in one go and it just flew by, and I really enjoyed it.
Did you fall into a coma in the middle? Did that why it flew by?
No, did
Fell
not.
asleep and woke
All
up.
right.
Well,
No.
I am pleased to say from the bottom of my heart that I am so glad that review is bloody over, because I've been dreading it. Oh my God. Let's look to the future. Always positive on that one. And let's think about what we're going to review next. So it's time to choose your next stories. And Bob, I'm going to leave you to the last, because after what you gave us last time, I really want you to think hard about what you're going to suggest to us next. I'm going to start off with Mr. Positive. Suki, what do you want to watch next, darling, if the dice goes your way?
You know, something. We've had the announcement of Mel coming back, and one of the worst stories Mel was ever in was Time and the Rani. And also, I'm just wondering about. I'm going to choose Time and the Rani.
Oh, wow.
What a cock.
What?
Sylvester McCoy story, first one, and you're a fan.
Bob, you cannot, Bob, do not even growl at anyone, because you gave us the Mutants, which received 4 out of 5.
Yeah, good.
That's
I'm pleased I
honest.
fucking did now, because of that.
Hang on, when I gave you Rose, you stropped about that, and then you really enjoyed
I did.
it.
Well, I know I enjoyed the Target book, Greg. It's different.
Okay, that's because it's Russell written by my new mate Russell.
Yeah.
John, tell me, tell me what you would like
John,
to watch
what?
next time.
I want to watch the Saranga conundrum.
The what? Oh right, yeah, okay, with Jodie.
Yeah, it's in the list of one of the worst Doctor Who episodes ever. So I just want to punish myself. I want to punish myself for having watched fucking Mutants by picking something
I've seen
equally
it before,
bad.
John.
We
You know,
have
Yeah.
reviewed it before.
I
you
don't
want to watch
care.
it again?
You're
Well,
all
on
gonna
this,
have
on this
suffer.
podcast,
Yeah, because we've always done. It was only Jodie. We've done Jodie
No,
like this.
no, we only
No,
started with
it's all right.
Flux.
There's subtext.
Flux,
Don't worry
yeah.
about it.
Oh, and in that
Come
case,
on.
then, no, we've not reviewed it on this
There
podcast.
you go, then.
Right. All right.
Nearly 5,000 viewers have rated it as the worst Doctor Who episode to date. Nice.
Amazing. I kind of want it.
Yeah,
I
me
wanna-
too.
I
For that
wanna-
Review
reason.
bombing.
Well, Cliff, it's your turn next. Are you going to join John in his campaign for the conundrum?
Well, I had Frontier in Space,
Oh, good one.
but
Another John. Oh, six-parter.
I do. I can't remember that joke.
It's a six-parter.
An
No.
86-parter.
86.
It's a six-part.
It is a six-part.
And it's got one
you know
story
what?
thread.
I'm going to go for that Jodie one because I can't remember it. I can't
It's a
think
conundrum-
of something being
conundrum.
as bad as some of the other stuff. What's out there? I'm going to
Okay.
go. I'm going to go for that one as well.
The base under
Right.
siege, you'll love it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's. I think I remember the one.
The Pertwee.
I remember it really clearly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything about it.
It's that one in it. I think
Yeah.
it is.
With the Pertwee.
Yeah. Me next, because I'm leaving Bob till then. I'm just gonna go with something a bit celebratory and a bit anniversary and something that I find cheerful and uplifting. So I'm gonna go with another Sylvester, and it's Silver Nemesis.
Oh, nice, Craig.
My choice. Yeah, that's my choice. So Bob, please think carefully. Please.
I'm feeling Capaldi.
Ooh.
Okay, right, yeah. What right now? Does he complain? Is he objecting?
Yeah, he's in the blurred section of my Zoom
Very
screen.
wrinkled ball sack.
But I'm
Has he pulled
I'm
his
str-
hairs out one by one?
I'm struggling. I'm kind of feeling Heaven Sent Hell Bent. In fact, yeah, I'm going to pick Heaven Sent Hell Bent. Capaldi. Because I
Which one was
fancy
that?
it.
Which one's that one?
It's
The
the finale of his second season.
That's not helping me, but that's fine.
I was
I'll
going to
work it out.
pick. There's a 3-part, which is Extremis, or whatever it is, the Pyramid at the End of the World and the Lie of the Land. But I've seen that quite recently, so I'm not going to pick that. Anyway, yeah. So let's roll the dice. It's a 4, which means it is Cliff. It's the whatever it's
Oh,
called.
Sinundra Conundrum.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, have we won?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you
Yes.
won.
You
You
won.
won. You're gonna get us. We're gonna
Well,
watch.
yeah. You say you've won.
Yeah.
Find
yeah,
out if
yeah.
you've won.
Yeah, I know, but it's only going to be less than an hour long. So basically, I've won.
You've won, John. We've all won.
Yeah.
Oh. Actually, well, I'll save it for the podcast when we talk about it. In
What a pro. What a pro.
I know
Yeah.
when to keep my mouth shut.
Wonderful.
All right.
Right,
Keep
okay,
your mouth
well,
open and end the show.
With that, yes, it is in time, lovely listeners. Stop crying and stop shedding a tear, because we will be back in just a few weeks with our bonus episode where we will be reviewing Cold It, the Big Finish audio drama. So don't wait too long. We shall be back in your eardrums very shortly. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us, and take care. Enjoy the summer. Bye-bye, darling.
So professional. So
professional.
Amazing.
My middle name.
With a working microphone.
Bye.
Woo!